Hi, Nigel here with the Drivewire, and I have the 2022 Grand Wagoneer Series 3 4x4. The Series 3 is the tippity top of the range, the most expensive one you can buy. And if you're looking for a very large, very exclusive, very luxury SUV, then look no further than this. Or take a look at maybe a Cadillac Escalade or a Lincoln Navigator. Now this one, out the door, is $116,720. That's a lot of money to spend, but if it's burning a hole in your pocket, get down to your Jeep dealer and buy one of these. Now today I'm going to review this. I'm going to tell you if this is actually worth that kind of money. So apologies, today I am suffering from somewhat of a heavy cold. However, my friends at Ricola have provided me with a packet of these delicious drops, of which I'm going to be utilizing possibly more than once on this video. So of those two competitors I mentioned earlier, the Navigator and the Escalade, this one is the heaviest at 6,300 pounds. It's also the most powerful. We'll get into those numbers in a second. And it also has the highest tow rating. This one will pull almost 10,000 pounds. So there is some bad news. The fuel economy is pretty catastrophic. It's heavy, as I said, and it has a huge engine up front, so don't expect it to be very economical. In fact, combined it'll do 15. I'm averaging 10.9. I have been driving mostly in the city, so that's kind of what I expect. So when they first dropped this off, I thought it was actually black. It's really dark, and maybe I'm a little bit colorblind, but according to the paperwork, it's a midnight sky, which is like a very, very sort of dark blue. So viewed from the side, it is big and blocky. It's a massive car, 17.8 feet long. And even with these 22-inch rims, they still look small. One thing I do like, though, is the way they've integrated the step. There's actually a step in there. It looks like just body, but as you approach the vehicle, as the step comes out, it's a brilliant piece of design. I mean, how did they miss designing the rest of the car so weirdly from the outside? And there it goes, tidies itself away, and it just looks like it's part of the car. You would not know that there was a step there. I like that. So from a design perspective, it really looks like two different designers designed this car, one for the front and one for the back. From the front, I think it looks great. It's got a very recognizable Jeep face. It says Wagoneer right here, a lot of black, and these LED headlights. There are no Jeep badges anywhere on this car. I'm not sure why, because the original Grand Wagoneer and Wagoneer had Jeep badges. The only telltale sign that is a Jeep is you've got Jeep on the side of the headlights, but that's it. But then there are problems when you go to the back. So at the back, as I said, things do get considerably worse on the design front. This chrome piece around here, especially with this dark color, really makes it look like a hearse, and that's not something I'd be seen dead in. The rest of it is really in your face. Grand Wagoneer across here, they're some of the largest letters for a model that I've ever seen on any car. The bumper's pretty cool, and then this has the Quadra-Track 2 system. It's not the full off-road rock crawling system, but it does have 4 low, and it does have hill descent control and various different modes, snow, mountain, dirt, rocks, etc. It's got these cool looking LED lights, and then this Series 3 badge here denoting that it is the most expensive model that you can buy. So while we are at the back, let's open up the rear tailgate. So if you leave all the seats up, obviously there's 3 rows, you get about 20 some cubic feet of space here. It's nice and square and blocky for whatever luggage you have. You also get this extra squishy, thick pile carpet, and then another one underneath, and you can open this up, and there's your jack and other bits and pieces below there, and then the spare sits underneath. Now these seats obviously will go flat, so you've got 4 buttons here, 2 for the second row, 2 for the third row, so we can drop all of the seats in one simply by pushing both of these. Let's watch them as they glide down to a perfectly flat loading cargo area. Now you've got 71 cubic feet of space. This thing is pretty damn enormous. Now, because this is a Series 3, it's got captain's chairs, and a huge center console for the second row passengers, and obviously a huge center console for the driver and passenger up front. But we can put these seats down to create even more space. And that's done simply with a lever right here, drops it flat. The same on the other side, completely flat. Now you have best in class space. There's 117 cubic feet of space in the back of this car. It is enormous. Pull on the lever again, clunk it back. Same on this side. And then hit these two again, and these two will just glide up back into the position that they were in the beginning. Very nice. And then you can just manually lift up the headrests in the back. So what makes this thing go? Well, there's one engine right now for the Grand Wagoneer, and it's the 16-valve, 6.4-liter Hemi V8 with 471 horsepower, 455 foot-pounds of torque, driven through an 8-speed automatic transmission. That's why it has such bad fuel economy. Now, the good news is it will eventually, for the 2023 model, get the new Hurricane engine, which is a twin-turbo 6. All right, the V8 goes away, but that engine has more power and more torque, and I can't wait to drive it. So once you're in the back, it is quite a nice place to be. There's actually quite a lot of room. This seat is actually pulled all the way forward, but even if I pushed it back onto the end of its rail, I would still be decently comfortable. And the materials in here are really nice. The only downside I can see is that for the money you're paying for this car, this is leather faced and this is plastic right here. Obviously seating for 3 folks. You get your own little sunroof here that you can take a look at. It's really bright today. You've got a cup holder, you've got 2 USBs, one slow, one fast. You can actually move this seat by doing that. Doesn't go too far, but goes far enough to relax yourself a little bit. Obviously you've got your AC vents and everything else. This is not a bad place to be for a third row. In fact, pretty much some of the best third row seats that I have ever sat in. And you also get a little button there that automatically pushes that seat forward so you can then get out of the car. Second row is even better. It's very comfortable. You can also recline quite a long way back. It's quite nice. Very comfortable chairs in here. And you can also get these 10-inch infotainment screens in the back, and then a little blind here to keep the sun out. Very nice place to be. Now, you do get this massive center console piece. Just ahead of your 2 cup holders, you have the ability to go ahead and play around with the rear climate controls. You got heated and cooled seats. I got the cooled seat on because it's a little warm in here right now. Super easy to use. You can turn the screen off if you don't need it. And then down here you get a couple of USBs on either side for each passenger, 115 volt and a regular 12 volt DC outlet. And then you got the center console with a little slide back compartment right here. You could probably put your phone in there and then open this up. Now this is enormous. Look, I'm gonna stick my hand down in here and it keeps going, it keeps going. It's almost as deep enough to need a ladder to get back out again. It's really deep, so you can get a ton of stuff in there as well. So this one comes with Amazon Fire TV, so if you continue, you can set that up, pair the remotes, etc. Comes with 2 remotes. So far, there is plenty of luxury in this car. I mean, it's just beautiful. This is so well made. I haven't found any real hard, scratchy plastics anywhere in the back. It feels quality. You get this Alcantara whole roof section as well. You get a big panoramic sunroof right here. And also it has a Macintosh speaker system, which when you play it loud is really loud. So anyway, but the front is even better. In the front, you get even more luxury. 24-way power seats for both driver and passenger. You can adjust everything, and both of them have a massage feature, which is wonderful. All of this dash is all brand new. Layered with this sort of like brushed aluminum look right here. Again, more storage, which is in fact a refrigerator right here, 2 generous cup holders, and then these new fancy screens. So whereas the exterior, in my opinion, is somewhat of a miss from the design front, I really like what they've done with the interior of this Grand Wagoneer. And I especially like this sort of flying buttress, sort of aluminum, cuts across all of the middle of the dash. I think it looks really good. Now you get 2 screens here. You get one on the top which has most of the controls, and then you've got some functionality here for all of your seats. So this first screen that you get is all Uconnect 5. It's one of the best. It also has physical, they are capacitive buttons, but you can find them easily. So you've got your heated seat controls on both sides. You've also got cooled seats controlled, and then also a heated steering wheel. On the side you can turn the screen off, and the same functions on that other side. So go straight home. It's super easy to use. You go to media to see what's playing. It's easy to set up your phone. Comfort. Now you can basically show the same controls here on here. It gives you the ability to make it a little cooler inside if necessary. You can change the vents. You can change the, you can sync this to both sides or not. It is a little clunky to try and move this up and down. It's just a tad difficult when you're driving along, especially if you're on some rough terrain, because this is, after all, a Jeep. And then you've got navigation, phone, vehicle settings, and then you've got some apps. So in your apps, there are a bunch of categories in here, including audio settings, setting up Android Auto, CarPlay, etc. But my favorite of all is relax. So relax mode only works when you're parked, and you can choose, and this is kind of my favorite even though it's a warm day, fireplace. And you got fires on 3 screens, and I'll explain there's another screen over there that you can't see from here because only the passenger can see it. And then if you turn up the volume, you get some crackly fire-like noises. Now what you can do is also go into a different one while you're on this screen, and you can do forest, and then the music changes. Topographic. These are all meant to be calming, and while you're sitting there eating your picnic in a forest. Anyway, I think it's pretty cool. Vehicle, you can basically do anything you need to. You can change the screen permissions so that you can stop the front passenger from sending content to the back. Power sidestep, you can change that. All around surround cam. Fam cam's kind of cool. Fam cam, you can see whether your kids are throwing things at each other or not in the back of the car, or misbehaving in general. Ton of information. Below that, you can actually physically change the temperature, and this is probably the best way to do it rather than use the sliders when you're on the move. So they've got that covered with these physical controls. Set it for auto, and then with your recirc, etc. Now below that, you've got this screen where you can start playing with the seats. Now these seats are unbelievably comfortable, and you've got lumbar control up and down. So if it's not falling in the right place on your back, you can move it up and down. So just hit that one, and it operates that section of the seat. Lumbar in and out. It gives you more or less lumbar support. The back bolster squeezes you in, and then the thigh bolster squeezes in your thighs. Not that this car is gonna, you're not gonna be pulling many G's in this car, but it's kind of cool functionality. Now, one of the things that I had a real problem with, I could not find the wireless charger. Usually a wireless charger is in this section, and I was like, ooh, is there something behind here? What the hell's going on? Then I discovered this button down here. So you push that button, it turns off the screen. Wow, there you have your wireless charger. Phone goes in there. Look at all this power that you have here. 12 volts, you've got various different USBs in here, completely covered. Anyway, so now I'm happy that I found the wireless charger. Took me a little bit of a while to figure that out. And then once you press this again, screen comes back down. Very similar to the system the Cadillac used to have, but theirs was like more like a door up here. I really like the way that they've put that together. And then down here you also have lane departure on off, traction control on off, hazard warning, park controls, towing and hauling. So now I'm happy that I found the wireless charger, but one thing that I don't like these rotary controllers. They're kind of annoying, and I always flick them one too far when I'm selecting reverse, and they sort of go into park, and it's really annoying. But on the left here, as I mentioned earlier, you've got rock, sand, mud, snow, auto, and sport. You choose using this little selector right here. And right here, you've got your air suspension system. So that will put the height up to the top height if you need it. I have it on 4 right now because I did a little bit of off-roading to get here. And then it automatically functions where if you, I think it's 60 miles an hour, it drops it down to 2 and it says aerodynamic ride height has been achieved. And then 2 decent sized cup holders here, and I love it. But there is one thing that I don't like. So the seat controls, instead of being on the side of the chair, are on the door. Very like Mercedes. So if you're a quite small person and you want the chair all the way back, you move back away from the controls and then you can't reach them again. So it's kind of annoying. Now on the main screen you can also select vehicle and go to off-road pages, and you get a look at whether the suspension is set at your terrain, pitch and roll, accessory gauges, and then whether your transfer case is locked, rear axle is locked, etc. Pretty cool stuff. So only one thing left to do, and that is to take it for a drive. Got about 3/4 of a tank of gas. That won't last long. So let's go. So I got the ride height set quite high, because I'm on this slight off-road bit. But the suspension is very comfortable. This air suspension is pretty damn good. We tested it on the Ram 1500 Bighorn with $20,000 worth of options, and came away very impressed with how good it was. Pretty good turning circle for the big beast too to get off this little section. So I'm going to drop the ride height down to 3, and then once we get above 60, it'll do it automatically, as I mentioned. So first impressions are, it's quite quick for an enormous brick. It really is. I got up to like 65 quite fast in quite a short space of time. And you can definitely hear the Hemi out the back. It makes a nice burbly noise when it's just idling. The other thing that I forgot to mention was this also has adjustable pedals, which is nice. So you can get the absolute perfect driving position in this car. Now, it definitely feels big. I mean, it is enormous, but it seems quite nimble. I'm quite impressed so far. Ride is unbelievably good. The steering is light, not a lot of feedback, but it works. So we're gonna put it into sport mode now. That's gonna hunker it down. Yep. Okay, the ride height has dropped. Okay, so we're going around this corner pretty fast, and this thing is holding its own very well. Man, it's pretty composed. Wow. Of course, because you sit really high up, you know, you don't feel the speed as much as in a low-slung sports car. And this is a tight right-hander. You can give it some power mid-bend. This thing keeps pulling. Holy shit. The laws of aerodynamics are ultimately going to kick in at some point. And it's not going to go as fast as a regular car, but impressive handling for such a shipping container of a car. It will be quite exciting though to check out the new Hurricane engine, because that's going to be interesting. More power, more torque. It may not sound as good as this, but God, it revs all the way up to 6,000 RPM. So driving like this is going to have a catastrophic effect on my gas mileage, I can tell immediately. But it is remarkably composed in these tight turns, which is honestly nowhere where anyone that buys this car is likely to go. But this is where we test cars, and this is where we're going to take it. I'm impressed with what Jeep's done here. I've been looking really hard to look for some scratchy plastics. The interior is unbelievable. I love the interior and what they've done. The exterior of it, it's like they're like, we've done such a great interior, let's just take a coffee break, and then they come back and they go, this will do. This is enough. And I think that's wrong. I think the Escalade looks better, the Navigator looks better. It just looks so awkward from the back. It's just a really weird design. Great from the front, terrible from the back. Question is, would you spend $116,720, which includes destination, by the way, on this car? It isn't my type of car. I'm much more happy with lightweight, small, little sports cars, sedans, hot hatches, and less these huge SUVs. But for someone who is in the market for it, I mean, this is nice. Now, I've driven the Cadillac Escalade, and I do like the OLED display. I feel like the Cadillac has some slightly inferior plastics, sort of lower down below the knee level, whereas Jeep has, they just haven't seemed to have managed that. Everything seems really well made. And everyone has a Cadillac Escalade, so I would probably just get one of these just to be different, right? All right, so what do we think? Well, you certainly get a lot of car for your money with this Jeep Grand Wagoneer, or rather Grand Wagoneer. For $116,720, there's a lot of luxury going on. It's not my kind of car, but I've enjoyed this week with this car immensely, despite the 9 miles to the gallon and some change. So anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. We'll catch you next time with another video.